From the land of lakes, this is 10,000 Takes, brought to you by Minnesota Score Radio. Wally and Eric back for yet another week as we slice and dice the always busy, always topical, always cluttered Minnesota sports scene. And Wally, it's another episode of 10K Takes on television. And your Minnesota Twins continue to cling to a lead in the mediocre American League Central.
Mediocre? Boy, you're giving it credit that I'm not going to give it.
They're the only team above mediocrity. Yeah, they've been hovering at that top spot all season. Can they sustain it? Is there anybody in the division capable of running them down? I would say yes, because their lead over Detroit and Cleveland and Chicago isn't that sizable.
No, it could go away in a weekend, as a matter of fact. Yeah, that's
what you're hoping this weekend.
Well, yeah, with the tribe in town, or the team formerly known as the Cleveland Indians, I should say. The Twins have been playing well enough to stay above, the rest of the crew
the
fray in the AL Central, which is just, it is the AL least right now. I mean, they just can't, none of these teams seem to have what it's going to take to make a run in the postseason for sure. And, the Twins are just good enough, I guess. And I like the fact with Royce Lewis back. I mean, obviously, it's his first game back was a huge splash. But he brings energy to this ball club without question.
Yeah, and he's well-liked by everybody in that room. Royce Lewis, who suffered a devastating injury, a little bit over a year ago, he comes back 1 year to the day.
Yeah.
And against Houston on Memorial Night down in Texas, banged out that 3-run tater, had an RBI single. And he has that kind of swag you want. He appears to truly enjoy playing the game. So this could be something that truly jumpstarts that Minnesota offense. We'll see. We got to get him out on the field more, and hopefully they won't rest him every 2 days or whatever.
Hopefully they don't put him in center field either.
There you go.
They don't need
him Michael A.
banging into the walls.
Okay, let me ask you this: who plays center field first, Royce or Byron?
Probably.
I hope it's Byron.
I hope it's Byron, but it's probably going to be Royce, knowing how things go over there at 34 Kirby Puckett Place.
I have some. There's reason for optimism for the Twins, as you said. Whoever comes out of the AL Central, not a likely playoff team that would go on a run, right? But then again, you look at the NHL and the NBA, where the Miami Heat and the Florida Panthers were low seeds, and they've made the finals in their respective sports. Right. Maybe that should be the mantra for the Twins: just get in.
Well, actually, it is the mantra in pro sports: just get into the postseason and see what happens. And we'll dig into that a little bit more because, as you said, both the Florida Panthers and the Miami Heat make it in as basically 8 seeds, and you never know. As for the Twins, I think that, we've established that Joe Ryan is probably their best pitcher, right? I mean, he's gotten better, and he seems to be the most consistent guy. Sonny Gray has been good, but not great. I think that, they need more innings out of him. For some reason, Rocco likes to yank him.
I think Sonny Gray can give them the innings, but they won't let him
Well,
go.
There's some of that, too. I mean, he threw, 79 pitches the other day, and Rocco had to get him out of there. I don't know. Whatever. And, they bring in a reliever and gives up a grand slam, so say what you want. But my concern really is Pablo Lopez right now. I'm not convinced that Pablo is top of the rotation type guy.
Yeah, and you're not going to win anything of substance if you only have 2 starters you can count on. They thought going in they had a solid 5-man rotation. Unfortunately, Kenta Maeda hasn't been able to come back from the Tommy John. I think he's done, right? And then Tyler Mahle's got injury issues. And Pablo Lopez was the centerpiece acquisition in the offseason. That deal with Miami to, peddle Luis Arraez, reigning AL batting champ, for Lopez. And if he doesn't come through, with a 15 to 17 win season, then that's a huge issue for the Minnesota Twins.
And I think when Maeda does come back, you're going to see him in the bullpen. I think that they basically have made that determination right now that, they're going to go with the guys they have, and Maeda is, if he works his way back in, great. But I'm not so sure that he has what they're expecting to get out of it.
I think you're right, and I think the thing about our job is we have the ability to second guess and nitpick, right? Well, you look at Kenta Maeda; they gave up Brusdar Graterol for him. He's out there with the LA Dodgers in their bullpen. He's a key piece of that pen. The Dodgers bullpen's a little better than Minnesota's, and now you have the deal arise for Lopez and Luis Arraez. I mean, he's way on top of the batting chart in Major League Baseball now. You can't see him with a telescope. He's got like a 40-point lead over Bo Bichette of Toronto. So that deal's going to be scrutinized.
No question. And tell me they couldn't use him in the lineup. I mean, they don't have a lot of table setters, as evidenced by the fact that Joey Gallo keeps leading off. I don't understand it. I know that he walks and he hits home runs, but he strikes out too much for me to be at the top of the lineup. He doesn't. He's not up there going deep into counts. I don't know. If he walks, I guess he gets a few, but I don't see him foul many off. He doesn't foul many off. When he swings, he either hits it a mile or he strikes out. Basically, that's what you're going to get out of Joey Gallo.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. I would push him down in the order. I want him on my team. He's got a good glove out there in the outfield. He can play first base, so it's not like he doesn't have a role here. He does, and he's been one of their top power guys, from day one. And he even missed some time with going on the IL. But, Luis Arraez was a contact guy, and everything was, the whole diamond was his canvas, right?
Spray
field
hitter,
line,
baby.
left field line. Yeah, modern day Rod Carew. He was popular with the fans. I believe his teammates liked him, and they made that move. And will it haunt them? We'll see. The Miami Marlins aren't exactly ripping it up in the NL East, which is a much better division, though, than what the Twins play.
Oh, boy, yeah. I still think that the Twins are going to have to contend with Cleveland when it comes down to it. I know I'm biased, but I still think that that's going to be it. Their pitching is so deep. They have to make decisions now with Aaron Savali and Tristan McKenzie coming back, and they've got these rookies that are pitching really well. They have to make some choices here. They may make a trade.
Well, if I run the Cleveland Guardians, your team, I am adding a bat or two minimum before the trading deadline in late July, because you have a team that at the minimum should stay in the race. And if you get some offense, you could win the division again. And if I'm in Detroit, is it Mike Ilitch still, Little Caesars pizza guy? Does he still run that team? Pizza. I'm going to add a bat or two as well. Detroit's very much in the mix, and the Tigers used to spend money. Remember, they had Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer. They still have Miguel Cabrera. My point is, this division's up for grabs.
Yeah.
And if Cleveland or Detroit get better offensively, they might be able to run down the Twins.
We shall see. All right, we need to take a break. We're going to talk some golf with Minnesotan Tim Herron, who, of course, is playing right now on the Champions Tour. He played on the PGA Tour for several years, actually won 4 PGA events.
All right, stick around. We are 10K Takes, your Royce Lewis ticket.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision. It's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Well, with the summer weather comes golf, of course, and many folks hitting the links, and of course the PGA Tour and the Senior PGA Tour going on, which of course is known as the Champions Tour. And we are joined now by Tim Herron, who is a qualifier from Minnesota for the Senior PGA Open, which will be held in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, later on in late June and early July. Tim, first and foremost, how big a deal is it for you to have qualified and to play in this tournament?
It's the state right next door, so it's kind of fun to be up there. I wouldn't want to be from Florida and trying to get into Stevens Point.
Tim, and one thing about the Senior Tour, it's had staying power. It's been around for decades now, and people still seem to gravitate to the events. Do you feel that when you're part of this?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, we have a little bit of a culture out here. The guys can still play. A little more camaraderie. Like I said, we're doing this a little early. I have to go to the Pro-Am dinner. The guys are a little more approachable. easier to get to. I think it's a pretty good product. It's only 3 days, and we go to smaller markets. Like I'm in Des Moines this week, and they don't have any real professional teams, and this is a big week, and the charity comes and they raise anywhere from $250,000 to $500,000 a year, if not more, for the city of Des Moines.
I remember when it was the Burnett Senior Classic, and it was a regular event here in the Twin Cities. Eventually became 3M. You'd get Arnie, you'd get Chichi Rodriguez, you'd get Lee Trevino. What are some of the names that folks are gravitating towards? They see Freddie Couples on the list, and they want to come out and watch. Besides Freddie, are there others that automatic are drawing cards?
Ernie Els would be my first one. Stuart Sink just came out last week out on the Champions Tour. He finished third. Steve Stricker, he's playing unbelievable golf. I mean, he's won probably 80% of the tournaments that he's played this year.
Tim, when we watch the legends in team sports, a guy will lose a step in football, or maybe the quarterback doesn't have that deep ball arm that he used to, or a pitcher. Hockey player might not be skating as fast, or, whatever. What happens as you age in golf? What goes first, and then how do you compensate for that on the tour?
Well, I'd say flexibility goes first. So what I've noticed, and I haven't had the most successful Champions Tour like I wanted, but what I noticed is the guys really keep the ball in play. Their misses are dead straight. They're not hitting left and right, and they still putt tip really good.
Tiger Woods is getting close to the age where he will qualify to play on the Champions Tour. I think he's 47, 48. How will that change the dynamic of the Champions Tour if and when he plays?
Well, the tour's got to kind of watch out. I mean, they're both under the same umbrella, but I mean, the way Tiger Woods draws fans, it's unbelievable. So, if we have anything to give back to golf, and Tiger Woods willing to give himself back to golf a little bit, I mean, it's a great opportunity for the Champions Tour to really get some success and get some really good airtime.
Tim, you had a lot of success on the PGA Tour. If Saudi 54, or LIV as they call it, were around when you played and they made a run at you, would you have been tempted to take the money and do what Phil Mickelson and some of these other stars have done?
I'm in. I mean, we've been playing golf, paycheck to paycheck our whole career. When you have, when I can get to be like another sport where they come up with upfront money, I think I'm in. Yeah. And they're playing it's not like they're just playing in Saudi Arabia. They're playing all over. And I don't know if you watch the 60 Minutes. I mean, they're trying to expand sports. I mean, I don't know exactly what they're trying to do, but I think, you know what? Yeah, it's been tough on the PGA Tour, but I think they got a reality check saying, hey, it's time to cater maybe a little bit more to the players. I mean, does that sound like I'm a spoiled tour player? Probably. Because, we've had some great benefits and success, and it's been great to be on the PGA Tour. But, LIV had a lot to offer, and, look at Brooks Koepka. I don't think he regrets doing it, and he just won a major. So I think it's competitive. And you know what? What's amazing is some of these majors saying, oh, are they going to let the LIV players play in some of these majors? I go, heck yeah, they are, because it's only 4 times now all year where the best players in the world get together and actually compete. So it's only enhancing the majors. It's the PGA Tour that's kind of losing out on some of the great players day in and day out, or week in and week out.
I get the feeling that you think that the LIV is good for golf, or you're okay with it in general?
I am. I mean, I'd like to eventually see the whole thing merge and actually have golf win and have it expand the globe, and kind of like what you were saying, how you went to a different country to, expand baseball. I'm hoping golf does expand and reaches out to many other countries.
Whenever we've been talking,
I'm hoping that they merge and they eventually, come together and look at it for the benefit of the game more than who's going to win in like a bidding war with money. That a golf will eventually win and take over, and that more people will be playing golf at the end.
We've talked a lot of golf this spring, Tim. Is Jon Rahm right now the best player on the globe? I mean, he's certainly done a lot of good things so far.
Yeah, he's good. It's hard to kind of put it down day in and day out. I mean, some guys get on and they'll get beat. Like Brooks Koepka now says he's feeling great. So we'll see. I mean, he finished second in the Masters to Jon Rahm and then wins the PGA. So, I mean, golf's very competitive. There's really good golfers out there. And if Jon Rahm actually gets hurt, there's going to be someone else that actually steps in and it's going to be competitive, and it'll always be a good show on TV.
You won the Minnesota qualifier. We talked a little bit about that to go to the U.S. Senior Open. Was that an important win for you? I mean, did you feel like, hey, that's a feather in your cap? You needed to do that for confidence, if for nothing else?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I went in there. There was only one spot, 70 guys. The odds weren't very, very good in Minnesota, but I knew I was playing and that I had probably something on them. If I just play golf and make some putts, I would have a chance. The only problem with one spot, you don't know if a guy shoots 65 on you, so you're just always kind of trying to make as many birdies as you can to try to get through. But like I said, it'll be fun to go to Stevens Point, close to home. I guess Wisconsin's home away from home.
3M Open, Tim, coming up in a few weeks in Blaine. What do you hear from your peers about this tournament? I know it comes right after the British Open. That's a tough slot, but everything I hear is it gets rave reviews. What do you hear?
Yeah, I think Hollis Cavner, 3M, they do a great job with that golf tournament, catering to the players. I think they really take good care of the players, and it's just hard to get to from the British Open, but they had a great winner last year. It was Tony Finau, and if you watch that, was it on HBO or I think it was on HBO? I mean, everyone loves the guy, so that's the guy you want to cheer for, and I'm glad he's defending for the 3M.
Well, Tim, appreciate you spending some time with us. We'll see you at Stevens Point in a few weeks, and good luck this weekend as well.
All right. Take care. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Bye.
He is Tim Herron, a 4-time winner on the PGA Tour, now playing on the Champions Tour, and we'll be seeing him in Stevens Point in a few weeks. Stay with us. More to come here on 10,000 Takes after this timeout.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
"10,000 Takes" rolls along, and so do the NBA and NHL playoffs. And we'll start with the NBA. Our guy Jimmy Butler, who spent one memorable season in Minnesota and one not so memorable month the following season, has his Miami Heat in the NBA Finals. And it really is all about Jimmy Buckets. I mean, obviously he has some supporting cast, but Jimmy Butler's the real deal. And the more I look back at what the Timberwolves did and didn't do when they had Jimmy Butler, the more frustrating it is to be a Timberwolves fan.
It's got to rank up there with one of their all-time bonehead moves, and believe me, there's a top 10 list of those.
I was gonna say.
We could come up with one, but we don't have enough time. Peddling KG, peddling Kevin Love, not drafting Steph Curry. There's a lot of examples. But yeah, the thing that makes the Jimmy Buckets thing so hard to process and stomach if you're a Timberwolves fan is what they invested to get him, They rolled out the red carpet for him. They had this big ceremony, all this hype and hoopla at the Mall of America when they made that trade with Chicago. I went to that thing. It was cool. They had a lot of fans there. They were revved up. Jimmy Butler has a reputation as a winner. He's an alpha male who is wired to compete and lift up his teammates. And if you can't play his style, he's going to get you out of that locker room. Now, what happened here in Minnesota is you got the millennials, Cat and then Andrew Wiggins. They didn't jive with Jimmy Butler's, old school mindset. So the Timberwolves didn't give him that max deal. He got upset, and he basically got himself out of here. And it just looks horrible for Minnesota.
Yeah, it does. And, Jimmy Butler is obviously a proven commodity. What is this, his third trip to the NBA Finals? I think it is. 2 with Miami and 1 with the Bulls. Is that correct?
Yeah, and, you look at what he did. Even though they lost Game 6, he sank 3 free throws to give them a lead. He had to make all 3, really. Now, they lost that game, but he said after that loss, a dagger defeat, down there in Miami, he says, we're going to Boston, we're going to win. Listen, guys, we're going to win. And his voice carries a lot of weight in their room. So Jimmy Butler, we'll see if he can knock off the Joker, Nikola Jokic in Denver.
Well, they're going to have their hands full. Yeah. I think in the end, Denver wins this. But my point is, about Jimmy Butler is that he, as you mentioned, didn't think it was going to work with Karl Anthony Towns and with Andrew Wiggins. Basically said that they're soft. I mean, you can frame it however you want, but that's what he said in so many words. And they gave the max deal to Cat. They didn't give it to Jimmy Butler. And, that's the mistake right now. It really is. You look at it and you think, geez, now there's a lot of talk, whether you like it or not, about trading Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, that is a legitimate talking point right now. Will the Timberwolves run it back with Karl Anthony Towns one more time? It hasn't proven to be very successful thus far. Let's see what happens now. They probably will hang on to him, but the more you look at it, the more you say, wow, Jimmy Butler was right.
Well, and when you look at the T-Wolves, and they've been around now since, 1989, it all starts up top with ownership and then your president of basketball operations or your GM. They've never, in my eyes, had a general manager who is elite. Look at Miami. Okay, Eric Spoelstra's a great coach, and he stuck around there. Give him credit.
Right.
But it's Pat Riley behind the scenes. And once upon a time, he was front and center with the LA Lakers and the Miami Heat and the New York Knicks. The Timberwolves have never had a Pat Riley.
No, you're right.
Not even close.
Quickly, I want to hit on some hockey here because another Florida team is in the finals. So if you're in Miami right now, you got your pick. You could go watch NBA finals. You can go watch the Stanley Cup finals. A pretty good run for the SoFlo folks, as you like to call them.
No doubt, yeah. SoFlo's partying. They always party down there. But they're really partying now if you're a sports fan. I mean, this is basically historic to have the Heat and the Panthers competing for titles at the exact same time. Meanwhile, here in Minnesota, we celebrate one playoff win in a round 1 game by one of our teams. And on the flip side, if the Denver Nuggets win the NBA title, it comes a year after the Colorado Avalanche won the Cup. And Denver is a mirror market of the Twin Cities. All your big pro teams, you've got D1 Colorado, Colorado State, you've got college hockey, and Denver University won that title a year ago. So there are other markets who are enjoying the spoils of winning, but this one isn't one of those markets.
No, and nor will it be anytime soon. All right, we need to take a break. When we come back, yes, takes of the day. Stay with us.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
10K takes on television. We are close to wrapping up yet another episode, but before we go, the mood meter will soon register your demeanor.
Yes.
Maybe you're a grumpy guardian. cranky Yankee, or who knows, dare I say it, a happy camper. What is it this week?
It doesn't happen very often, does it?
No, it's like Halley's Comet.
Yeah. Well, as you know, a couple weeks ago, I was in West Africa working on a baseball project, and I promised that we would bring something to you. That'll happen next week on the show. However, in my absence, I see that the Minnesota State Legislature is up to their old tricks again. They just closed out the 2023 session, and I think the folks in towns like Sleepy Eye, Minnesota, are not very happy with the results. If you are a resident of, or you have a student that goes to Sleepy Eye High School, which, oh, by the way, they are the Sleepy Eye Indians, that'll have to change according to new law passed by the state legislature. Yes, any name, any logo, any image, any custom can no longer have any affinity at all to American Indians, Native Americans. So as a result, the city, oh, by the way, and thus the school, named after Chief Sleepy Eye, will have to change things, right? I believe that that's what this law says. Now, they could appeal. They'd have to go in front of a bunch of Native American committees and so on and so forth. Sounds like a lot to do to get your name. Probably is going to end up happening. But think about it for a minute. So Sleepy Eye is going to have to change their name. What about War Road? The War Road Warriors, with a strong tradition up in northern Minnesota, and several others. Yes, get rid of them all. You got to get rid of them. The state legislature is putting the hammer down. They said, no mas. You can no longer have Indian names of any nature, which means, what about Shakopee? That's an Indian name that was clearly something that they did not think about. So now does the city of Shakopee or the school, do they have to change their name? Are they going to be what? The Southwestern Suburban Sabres instead of the Shakopee Sabres? Give me a break. You guys have gone way over the top. Try doing something useful and stay away from things like this. Let the individual communities make those decisions. Let the school boards in each of those communities make those decisions. Stay out of it, state legislature.
And the mood meter says, just as I suspected, a grumpy guardian.
Very grumpy.
Wow. I think Governor DeSantis wants you to move to Florida. Wow. He's on a roll today, folks.
Okay.
All right. Well, my take of the day, I will try to uplift people. He's angry. Look, summer's here. We had Memorial Weekend. It's the gateway to summer. A lot of people like to take Major League Baseball trips and see different venues.
So you did?
I did. I was down in Kansas City last weekend. Saw a game at the K with my kid. Washington Nationals, Kansas City Royals. Wasn't a marquee matchup, but that's secondary. It's all about the ballpark in Kansas City. And it's not that far down I-35, roughly 7 hours from the Twin Cities Metro. So if you don't have any plans coming up this summer, go down to KC. And here's another reason why you should. Believe it or not, this gem of a ballpark, which is part of the Harry S. Truman Sports Complex, first ever complex built in U.S. sports history, Chiefs and Arrowhead, Royals and Kauffman Stadium right next door, a lot of tailgating, all that good stuff. Well, the Kansas City Royals want to move to downtown KC.
Boy.
They want to mimic the Minnesota Twins. They want to have a downtown ballpark and all the stuff that comes around it, and they want to milk their revenue. I got to tell you, though, there's nothing wrong with Kauffman Stadium. It's like a baseball mecca for me. I've been going since I was a little kid. I saw it on TV when I was growing up out in SoCal. I said, I got to go there. They got water fountains. And if you go way up top, you can look way out beyond my favorite scoreboard in all of baseball, that Jumbotron Crown Vision they have. And you get a great view of I-70, which connects St. Louis and Kansas City and the East and the West. It just reeks of Americana and baseball. Royals, please don't leave this place. It's baseball bliss. And I caught it on a good day. It was 82 degrees, sunny, a breeze, and it wasn't sticky. It wasn't that normal sauna you get in Kansas City as we get deeper into the summer.
Don't advise people to go down there in July.
Yeah, that's true. Wait till September now. When Royals tickets they'll give them away.
Yeah. They already do, I think.
All right. On that note, let's FedEx out our thank yous. One to Alex Yambrick, David Weld, Rocky, Tim Herron. For Wally, I'm Eric saying so long. This is 10K Takes, your sports. Hickey.